Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about one of my favorite parts of genealogy, that of exploring military records. You know, neither of my grandfathers served in the military, but their children certainly did. My father served in the U.S. Navy, his brother served in the U.S. Air Force, my mother's brother also served in the U.S. Air Force, and my mother's brother-in-law served in the U.S. Navy just like my dad. So even though I don't have direct military experience in my grandparents' generation, my dad's service in the Navy gave me an idea of what life looked like for him before he met and married my mom. Military records are so much more than just lists of names and dates. They can tell you where your relatives served, what their occupation was, and even what they look like. They can fill in the missing details that family stories alone can't. So, what are the types of records to look for? Well, there are a few main types of records to explore. Service records show enlistment dates, rank, and unit details. Draft cards, especially from World War I and II, include things like home address, occupation, and next of kin. Pension records can reveal a lot about family, spouses, children, and even where a veteran lived later in life. And burial or cemetery records can help you locate where a veteran was laid to rest, often with military honors. Where can you find these records? You can find many of these records online. The National Archives has official service and pension files, but you'll have to be careful about that because there was this huge fire in 1973 that destroyed many of these records. Fold 3 through Ancestry has millions of digitized military documents. FamilySearch.org is free and has a great collection of draft and enlistment records. And local state archives or historical societies can sometimes have additional materials, especially for the National Guard or state level service. In my case, my father's online Navy record is rather limited. On Fold 3, all it shows is my father's Selective Service Registration card and a photo of him and his shipmates when he served on the USS Midway. Shown is a copy of my father's Selective Service Registration information card, and much of the information is blurred out because even at 90 years old, I'm lucky enough to have my father still living. In my uncle's case, it depends on which uncle you're talking about. For my father's brother, Fold 3 provides a Selective Service Registration card. It also provides an enlistment and discharge date. However, I suspect both of those dates are inaccurate because Fold 3 says that uncle enlisted in 1953 and was discharged in 1955. That only shows him being in the Air Force for 2 years. However, I happen to know that my uncle was already in the Air Force in 1952 because he's profiled as being stationed in Alaska in a local newspaper article of that time. I suspect that Fold 3 might be only providing the very latest enlistment date of their military personnel. With my mother's brother, the only online document I was able to find was his Selective Service Registration card. That is likely because information like his enlistment and discharge dates were probably destroyed in that 1973 fire that I previously mentioned. At that time, it was primarily Army and Air Force records for personnel whose names began with H and higher whose records were destroyed. Before I go, just a few quick tips for your research. Always confirm you have the right person by checking birth dates, addresses, and next of kin. Don't overlook physical descriptions. Sometimes those notes about height, hair color, or eye color make a record feel personal. Combine what you find with census data and family stories to fill in the bigger picture. And if a record isn't available, like those lost in the 1973 records fire, try alternative sources like unit histories or newspaper archives. For me, exploring military records helped me better understand the generation that followed my grandparents, their sons who served and sacrificed. Even if you don't have a direct ancestor who served, you probably have a family member somewhere who did, and exploring military records can help you connect to their experiences in a very powerful way. If you found something interesting about a family member's military service, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And if this video gave you some ideas for your own research, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more genealogy videos. Thanks for watching and happy researching.